Hi, welcome to this teacher time. This is the teacher time where I'm going to show you how to, for my second grade friends, finish up your clay heart if you would like to. One way that we can do it. I'm going to show you how to use something called acrylic paint. It is a permanent paint. It sets once it is wet. So if you happen to get it on your fingertips, it will wash off. But once the paint, you want to make sure that you have some things to protect your surface that you're working on. I have kind of like a big placemat. And then I just put my clay heart on a paper plate that I have at my home. But you want to make sure that you protect your surface that you're working on, because once that paint dries, it will be permanent. And also clothing, if you want to wear an older piece of clothing, or if you have like an art shirt or an apron or something to do that, you might want to do that too. Or if you have longer sleeves on, you want to push those up just to prevent the acrylic paint from getting on there and then obviously setting permanently. So this is a permanent paint. Obviously, before you use any type of paint like this, we want to make sure that we have permission from a grown-up, adult, parent, or older family member before you start something like this at home. This paint does dry really quickly. Usually within a few minutes, the paint is dry. As long as you put on a kind of a not so globby, thick layer, it does dry quickly. And it does provide an opaque color, which means the color is going to be pretty thick once you cover your surface. You're not going to be able to see through to the clay coloring. It'll cover it fairly well. When you get your artwork back from school, on the outside of your clay heart, I did put a sticker label that says, wrong side, fragile, clay heart project. So it is wrapped in newsprint. It has the sticker label on top, so you want to handle with care. It is more of a decorative piece. It should not be used for food or anything like that, but more just for something to be on display. Okay, so again, like I mentioned, is a permanent type of paint. So I have just a couple things here to protect my surface. A big older piece of paper, placemat. I've got some paper towels nearby too. Any type of acrylic paint should work, any color. If we were at school, we were going to use glaze that I would have put in. We would have put our clay projects back inside the kiln so I could put them in the kiln and fire them one more time. Glaze is specific only if you have a kiln. So that's something that we could really only do at school. So I'm also adapting and using acrylic paint. You can use a paintbrush that you have. I'm going to use a bigger one, but if you have just a smaller one at your house, that's fine too. Okay, so I'm going to use my acrylic paint, and I'm going to cover both sides. Remember, this clay piece is fragile. It can break. So you just want to take the acrylic paint and spread it around to cover the surface as much as you can before getting more. And if yours is like mine, since we added texture to our clay hearts, you'll see that there's some spots where the acrylic paint didn't cover. I'm going to talk about how to cover that also. Okay, so I'm going to go back, and you want to cover any surface that you don't want that tan clay to show through. So that could be the edges, that could be the underside of the project, whatever you want to cover up. Okay, and again, when you're doing this, just kind of handle with care, hold it in place. You want to make sure that you're not at the edge of the table or holding it up to do this. You want to make sure it's on a steady surface. And if you have a family member that's there to help you, that might be even better, because they can help stabilize it or even help you cover the surface. So right now I'm just kind of going over my edges, and I'm going to go over the bottom, and I'm going to cover up my name and my code too, which you can do also. Okay, and I'd recommend maybe using like a paper plate, which once it's all messy, you can throw it out when your clay piece is dry. And hopefully your clay project won't really stick to that surface either. If you use just paper, there's a good chance that acrylic paint is going to stick to your clay project and then stay on. So now you see that I have these little spots there where the texture was that the paint didn't go. So I'm going to do something called blotting. I'm going to get a little bit more paint on my brush and just kind of dab or blot to fill in some of those gaps. Okay, and I don't need to do that everywhere, just some spots. If you happen to like the way that that looks, leaving some of it showing, you could leave that showing also. It's your preference. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry. Usually one layer of acrylic paint should do the trick, but if you want to add another layer after it's dry, of course, you could do that. I'd recommend washing your brush almost right away. Again, once that paint dries, it becomes very difficult to get the paint out of the brush. So I'm just going to put it in the water to let it soak for a bit. Okay? And then when you're finished, you'll have your clay piece that's has acrylic paint on all those edges, and it's finished up nicely for you. Okay? Again, I really wish we could have finished these together in school this year, but I figured this was something that you could do if you wanted to try it at home and finish it up at home. Of course, it's optional. If you like the way that it looks as is, then that's fine. Remember to take good care of it because it is fragile. But hope you enjoy if you decide to finish it up at home. Good luck, have fun, and remember to check with a grown-up first before using the acrylic paint, and also check with a grown-up or an adult about a good spot to work on this artwork and make sure you have all the materials that you need to do it safely and have fun too. Okay, enjoy!